Yo, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Good to see you again. And as many of you know, but maybe some of you don't, I just recently took 7th place in the most recent Treasure Cup playing Purple Luffy. I could not have been more happy with how the deck worked, how it ran, everything. It just felt great. There was a bit of a lucky matchup that I had. I ended up seeing Doflamingo, I believe, in round 6 or something like that. And I got a very, very fortunate draw that kept me in the game. I should have lost that match for sure, but we take it. Sometimes RNGesus does have to be on your side. A couple things I want to go over before we go into this whole deck profile and a little bit of gameplay as well is that I unfortunately broke my glasses about 2 days ago. Some of you might have seen it on my stream. It was... That license is for anyone, company that wants... Really unlucky, unfortunate situation. I was just adjusting them, and they're about 3 years old. They unfortunately snapped. So, yeah, I'm going in blind right now. But the other thing I wanted to mention was that I do have an amazing tournament coming up this weekend where we are going to be competing for a manga kid as well as 5 boxes of OPO 8. So if you're interested in competing, I'll have the link down below, but you can check out any of my posts on either X, in my Discord, or in my YouTube community posts because I do have the link for the Best Coast pairings for the tournament on there. But now let's go ahead and dive into the deck. For the day, like I said, I only ended up seeing one Doflamingo. I surprisingly saw 0 Lucci, which was a little shocking. The previous tournament run I had where I got 28th place on February 1st in the Core TCG Treasure Cup, I ran into 3 Lucci, and I was able to take the game off of all of them, so I was able to beat all 3 Lucci. But yeah, I was surprised I didn't see any this time around. I did see a majority of, like, I would say arguably like tier 2, tier 1.5 decks. It was a lot of RP Luffy. I saw tier 1 black yellow Luffy twice in my final 2 matchups. I saw Shanks. I did see this is unbelievable. OPO2 mono red ace, which was really cool. I believe he was able to secure top 32 as well, which was pretty fantastic. So shout out to him. And yeah, I just had like a really wide range of matches played. We also played a Blackbeard matchup, which was a pretty cool match as well. So a lot of these games you can go and check out in my recorded live streams. But today I just kind of wanted to give more of a breakdown and the idea of why certain cards are in the deck, what cards are flex spots, and really like how I view, what should be done in certain matchups and why these cards exist. But obviously, 5 life leader, Monkey D. Luffy, arguably 3 life leader because you use leader effect twice no matter what. So you're basically a 3 life leader, but you tend to have more cards in hand than your opponent, and that's what makes the Doflamingo matchup a little bit rough. Obviously, that is a very, very tough deck to beat for this, but it is winnable because of certain pieces that we have, and you'll see kind of why that is. But we do run the one of Franosuke. This is more of a filler spot. I don't believe that this is a necessity. I just personally wanted the 13th 2K in the deck because if you play against Doflamingo and you don't see a 2K to start the game, getting out of that 7K swing can be very difficult. And if you don't get out of that, then you are definitely going to be hit by pudding, and it is going to hurt. It is going to hurt. So I run one of Franosuke just for an extra 2K counter. I personally, like I said, I think that this is a flex spot. I think that you can end up changing this out for something. I just personally like to have a little bit extra counter power in the deck, and as well as it's searchable. It does come up occasionally that this card can be used into the Blackbeard matchup because it is a rush card that doesn't have on play. So it can just be that extra swing that wins you the game, but it is kind of niche when that does work out. So it's kind of neither here nor there. It's just, if you have it, you have it. I don't personally try and rely on this card very much, though, for the Teach matchup. We have Eustace Captain mid here. You know what? Actually, this is my GOAT, okay? I've seen a lot of people try and take this out of the deck. It's not going to work. You need this card for going second. If you're going first, you can use this as a very easy 1k counter because you're probably not going to play it till turn 4 or beyond. So you can draw into it a little bit later. You won't need it for the early stages. But Eustace Kid going second is extremely important because it allows you to get that extra Dawn back and really set up the curve that you want to see going second. Obviously, this deck wants to go first in every single matchup besides Bello Betty and like Yamato. That's it. Green Yellow Yamato and Red Yellow Betty. Those are pretty much the only decks that you want to take second. Going first is very, very important. And Eustace Kid is necessary for the deck because you're not going to win the dice roll every time. You're going to lose. Your opponent's going to take first because they know it's going to put you in a worse spot. This card kind of gets you out of that worst spot, you know, allowing you to use your Luffy Taro on curve for turn 3, getting that Dawn back, being able to save space for Giant or just attach it to Kid to get a bigger swing into either board or life. It's very strong, very powerful, and it combos very well with Chopper, which is my personal tech choice for the deck, and we'll get into that once we get over there. We also have Hitokiri Kamizo. So I don't run Bon Clay in this deck list, as you can probably see. Why no Bon Clay? I think that Bon Clay is perfectly fine. I think if you run Bon Clay, you're obviously doing the standard idea of Purple Luffy, so I'm not taking anything away from you. I just personally never found the value that I needed from the card, and so I decided to go a bit of a different route, and I decided to go with the Chopper, and it's paid off very well for me. I think that Hitokiri must be a 4 of if you're not running Bon Clay, because you need a play on your second turn going first. And if you don't have Zorojuro, your 4-cost, engine, essentially, you have to have Hitokiri to play down. Otherwise, you're swinging 9, which isn't terrible. It's not terrible into some matchups, but I think that swinging 9 just doesn't feel great, and that's the tough part. The only matchup I really want to be swinging 9 into is either Shanks or RP Luffy. Besides that, I really want to be developing, some form of character, some form of body and attack that, really forces my opponent to give me another card, and Hitokiri does that. It also answers a lot of the really pesky 2-cost and below characters that your opponent can play. I don't, when I give these examples, I don't suggest that you play this card into the Doflamingo matchup very much because it simply just gets bounced back. But if you look at that in another light, it does mean that since the card is getting bounced back, you're just going to get a 2k back to your hand. So it's not like the worst case scenario, but typically speaking, this card's going to get removed before it's able to do what you want it to do. But it does have the ability to remove the 2-cost Teach. It has the ability to remove the Rosinante in Bonnie, or in any green deck for that matter. It's really great into the Teach matchup because you can get rid of their Lafitte's, their Doc Q's, their Vasco shot, the 2-cost blocker. It's absolutely amazing for certain matches and just removing some of those key points. So I personally just have it as a turn 2 play, but it does combo very well with Chopper and some of your Dawn minus effects because of that. Sanji, typically not played as a blocker. It's occasionally played as a blocker, but it's very niche when it is. more often than not, this is a 2K counter from hand for me. I do have special moments where this card is going to be a blocker for me. It's just very sporadic and random, so I don't really play it that much. It's super based off of whether I had to use like 2 giants in 1 turn to survive or something, and then this gets played out as a blocker. Charlotte Linlin, there are a lot of people that will argue whether you should be running 3 or 2 of this in the deck. I personally just want to have the best opportunity that I can into playing and beating Doflamingo. So I've been running 3. I think you can get away with running 2. It's just a little scary for me personally, because not seeing the card can basically mean the difference between losing that matchup or not. And I also think that this card simultaneously can be the reason you won't win the matchup against like Black Yellow Luffy. So it's really tough. I personally think that 3 is correct, but I can see why some people argue for 2. And you know, on the contrary, going into Sanji, I used to be a firm believer that this card was only a 2 of, but now I can't see it as anything other than a 3 of. His card has put me in spots that I didn't think were winnable, and they turned out to be. It's also saved me from really inconvenient plays that my opponent will make on their turn 2 that I'm then able to answer. So, for example, like 4-cost Kuzan being played out in either the Lucci matchup or the Black Yellow Luffy matchup. This card just allows me to answer that and deal with it very quickly rather than having to, you know, essentially live through the struggle of them getting all the removal for the rest of the game. Also 3-cost Brook into Lucci, resting blockers such as Rebecca, any other blockers for Shanks and going for game. This card really is just an answer to a lot of situations. So I highly recommend having this card at a minimum of 3. Now, my favorite card in the deck, it's not the card that I always play, but it is my favorite card in the deck. It is so fun and it is so versatile in how this deck works, and I've really enjoyed it. I don't want to say that I'm the one that came up with the idea of playing Chopper. I just think that me streaming all the time and playing Purple Luffy with Chopper in my deck has kind of popularized it in a way, but I just think this card is so fantastic. It works so well with a lot of the rest of your deck. It's playable off of Luffy Taro. This card really just allows you to be aggressive, but then, you know, take a step back and play defensively once you realize, like, okay, I'm not gonna, you know, survive, or I don't want this card to die, so let me just bring it back, set it back as active so that I don't have to, you know, my opponent doesn't have to drain resources from my hand. I can just go, hey, this is good to go now. Awesome. And it combos extremely well with Hitokiri and Kid. So when you play this card down at the end of your turn, you can use the Dawn Minus effect to either remove 1 or more Dawn, set it as active and gain blocker. When you do that, it's still your turn. Even though it's the end of your turn, it is your turn. So Eustace Kid will still proc from Chopper's effect. So at 10 Dawn, you could play both Eustace Kid and Chopper and get a Dawn back as active. So it allows you to play 2 blockers at once and still have that 11th Dawn, if you will, to have, you know, active for Giant. And Hitokiri, you know, at 9 Dawn, we could play both of these and remove a 2-cost. At 10 Dawn, we could play both of these and still have a Dawn left for Giant. If you have multiple Eustace Kids on board and you play down Chopper, then you can do Dawn minus 2 and get 2 Dawn back active. So it gives you a lot more space to be flexible with your Dawn during some of your, you know, swinging turns where you want to be aggressive. And then still set yourself up with a blocker afterwards. I personally am a huge fan of the card. It's helped into the Blackbeard matchup incredibly, into the Shanks matchup a ton. It's really solid into Doflamingo. The tough part is getting it down at what seems to be the right time, because you want to prioritize Sangoro. But if you're able to get this card down and then able to play a Eustace Kid, You know, a lot of times what I would like to do is if I have Eustace Kid and Onami, something like that in hand, and I have a Luffy Taro as well as Chopper, I'm going to play a Luffy Taro into Chopper, and then take a little bit of life, play a double blocker the following turn, and now I have, hopefully, my Zorojuro, my leader, Luffy Taro, and Chopper to swing, play these two down, and I will be able to get an active Dawn from Eustace Kid at the end of the turn. So it works out extremely well for me personally. I think that Chopper has been an invaluable piece of the deck, and I've just loved how it's helped me in so many matchups. It's been an MVP in so many of the games that I've won, so I can't say enough about this card. I have Law here. Law is actually another card where I'm actually going to bring up the potential possibility of a flex spot. So I see everybody runs 4. I think 4 is probably correct. There is a world where I think it's fine if you just run this card at 3. The tough part is that does make your Teach matchup a little bit worse. Just not having a 1-drop to be able to swing into their rested Lafitte, stock Qs, stuff like that. But it's a card that, you know, realistically, you're only playing for the first few turns, and if you're playing it after that, you're just trying to replace it with a 2K or potentially a blocker. So it has its moments for sure, but realistically, it's, you know, first 2 turns maybe, arguably only first turn usually. It's more often a 1K than anything, so I have considered maybe trying, if I wanted to get a little crazy, dropping a Law to 3, dropping a Frenosuke, and putting in 2 Bond Clays. But I don't know. I haven't really tested that just yet. This is just something I've thought of, and I think that it can be a flex spot. So if you're looking for space in the deck list, that could be it. We do have our 2 9-cost Luffys here. I think this card is very important for certain matchups such as Shanks, Black Yellow Luffy, the Mirror matchup, playing into Red Purple Luffy as well. It's just a card that allows you to guaranteed take a life from your opponent, either get something off the board or force a block for sure every single time. Like, you hardly ever have to attach Dawn to it. It's just a huge 10k rush attack that replaces itself. It's a phenomenal secret rare card. The tough part is it is very much so a brick in the deck. So occasionally it feels like the worst card in your deck, but other times it's the MVP. I think 2 is just correct. I think that you can't really run it at 1. I tried. I think that the card is correct at 2. But you can get away with it sometimes. I just like I like having the consistency of being able to find a card typically at 2. Usohachi is the GOAT. This guy is allowing me to go for game every time, being able to rest 5 cost or less once you're at 8 or more Dawn. It's also the 2K counter of the century, and the stat line is not bad. You can actually attach Dawn and swing with this relatively easily. So very strong card. I think this card will forever have a future in purple decks going forward. We also have Onami, potential flex spot as well. I just originally I had cut this card because I was like, you know what? I don't even need it. I think I'm good without it. I feel like I could not have been more wrong. This card is just, it stops so many situations like in their tracks and allows you to cycle 2 cards. More often than not, it's just going to get a card out of your opponent's hand to remove it. If not, then it's going to get a block of an attack that you really just didn't want to counter or get out of. So I think this, personally, Onami has done a lot of work for me, and I've realized that the biggest value that I get from the card, excuse me, is 2 situations. Double blocker with Onami, or Luffy Taro into Onami. Luffy Taro into Onami allows me to get a big body onto the board that I can then use to pressure either my opponent's life or board the turn after, and establish a defensive unit, cycle my hand a little bit, And, I mean, it just does a lot. This combination is fantastic. This right here is playing like ultra defensively and still leaves me with 1 Dawn to play with for Giant. So I've loved Onami. I think this card is fantastic at 3. It feels perfect. That's just me personally, though. I have seen people running it at 2, which I think is perfectly fine. So that's why I said, again, kind of a potential flex spot, but, you know, it's always up to, you know, it's to each their own. It's in the eye of the beholder. I personally just like the card at 3. Sangoro, Zorojuro, Luffy Taro. Not much to say here other than this is the engine of the deck. Sangoro allowing you to draw constantly over and over again. This card will win you matchups time and time again. It's very powerful. Zorojuro allowing you to find your pieces, can search any Straw Hat, even itself, which is fantastic. Sometimes just finding another Zorojuro is actually what I'm looking for, so it's a fantastic card. And for the stat line as well, it's pretty ridiculous. Luffy Taro is the GOAT, obviously being able to play out Zorojuro, Sangoro, Onami, and Chopper, as well as sometimes Sanji. Niche, very niche situations, but yes, you can use Luffy Taro to play out Sanji because Sanji would technically cost 3 or less if you're at 2 or less Dawn than your opponent. So there are very niche situations where that happens. Again, though, it's super niche. Like, don't expect to be popping off that combination very often. And then last but not least, Giant. This is the card that essentially allows you to play this deck, because without it, you would pretty much just lose to every deck in the meta. Without this, purple just kind of falls off, and it gets extremely difficult to survive any of the aggression or some of the large tall, you know, boards that certain decks can build as well. So Giant is an absolute must. But after going over the deck, I do want to go over a little bit of gameplay, kind of give you an idea of how the deck runs and why it runs the way it does. Alright, so we got a matchup against Blackbeard here. Go ahead and take first. That's pretty good. Would have been nice to see Law, but I don't want to mulligan and potentially get a worse hand, so I think this will do. This will do just fine. He does pick up the stage off of Lafitte. We'll go ahead and take life first, just because whenever you want to attack into Blackbeard, you don't want to get hit by Black Hole. I'm just going to attack the Lafitte. Was hoping to find the Luffy Taro there, but that's all right. We still have another chance at it. I've got a couple of great cards here. Laboon, obviously, very annoying card to deal with. I know I want to counter. It's a matter of what I want to counter with, whether I want to counter with one of the Sangoros or not. So I actually think I'm going to go with Sanji here and keep these, because having your 4 and 5 costs in this matchup are so crucial. No Luffy Taro, which is a bit of a bummer. It's not the worst case scenario, but it's a bit of a bummer. I'm going to start with the 6 because I kind of want him to think that I have Luffy Taro. Now I'm going to go 7. Play out the Sangoro first because I kind of want him to forcibly have to remove that. Yep. And now if he swings 8 here, I do have to counter. I need this combination for next turn. I need the Chopper and the Hitokiri. But it looks as though we'll only have to deal with a 7k swing, which is nice. Oh, okay. Actually, even better. Lafitte. So just find a Burgess there. He stops my on-play effects. I'm going to go ahead and take life. So I think what I want to do, I want to do 5. Maybe I could have done 6, arguably. I'm going to go 7. If he protects it, then we don't do this combination. But now I can just do this, do Dawn minus, make this a blocker, and now with the Hitokiri, I can KO his Lafitte, not have to swing into it, and Dakyu's still alive, which obviously is a bit annoying, but I know that he now has 2 Burgesses in hand. I actually think I have information on a 3rd card, but I don't know if he got rid of that Van Augur. I think it might have been that one. So he does Tempest Kick. Use the Dakyu to get rid of my Zorojuro. 8k at life. Slightly annoying. I'll take. It's fine. So Black Hole. Let's see. I don't really need to worry about the Dakyu that much anymore because now we're in the territory of him using 10 cost. So I can get away with a little bit. The tricky part is that I might have to play Sanji based off of if he gets a good trigger or not. So I think I'm gonna start with a 6 right here. It does give me a 2k. I'm gonna go 7. I think I go. Do I want to go 7 again? No, I think I'm going to go 6. I'm going to go 6. I maybe should have started with the 6, but that's okay. So this is my era. Does find a Black Hole. I'm just going to go ahead. Super tempted. I'm super tempted. Do I play the blocker? Do I play this? I think I'd just go here. And just reactivate this. I don't believe that I want to KO the Dakyu here because he's just going to play 10 cost anyways. So it's not like I particularly care all that much. He does find another Burgess. My god. He's got so many Burgesses. This is crazy. Whoa, okay, so no 10 cost here. Does play the finger pistol, so he's going the removal route. I can respect this. I'm going to block and give a 2k. I know that I have a 10 staring down, but that's fine. We don't care. Going to go ahead and save this. Ooh, the blocker is actually pretty crucial here, so I'm going to keep the blocker. Liberation. Pretty good card. Pretty good card. He does stop me, but now I can just swing 9. And you can't stop an 11k, so we just win. GG. Yeah, Blackbeard matchup pretty figured out with this list. Just a matter of knowing what cards to counter with, what cards to play at certain times. It can get a little trickier, but you know, I do think that this matchup's pretty solid for the deck. Okay, sweet. We've got a game up against Doflamingo here. This is pretty good. This is actually arguably about as good as it gets. If we do find Luffy Taro, we could be onto something here. Teach, pretty annoying, obviously. But Luffy Taro's a good card. A lot of 2Ks to the bottom is a little rough right there. I should have swung leader first, obviously, because if he hits me with a grab blade off trigger, that would have sucked. That would have really sucked. But does he play a 4 cost and then use Teach effect? Or does he swing 8? Does he swing 8? And use leader effect? It's like Teach on 2 here isn't extremely helpful for him. This will be interesting. I mean, our hand is actually pretty great. Yeah, pretty great, all things considered. I wish we had one more 2K to be able to deal with this, but even if he does putting us right here, I don't feel like we're in a bad spot by any means. So he's going to use Perona instead. I am interested to see, since he uses Perona, I doubt he would use Teach here. So I think I should be looking at just a 7k swing. More than likely, I'm just going to give Sanji and Sanguro to get out of this. Save my Chopper and Sanguro for my Luffy Taro. So we are going to see the Law. The Law is really annoying. God, I hate that card. I truly hate that card with every fiber in my body. No 2K. It's a little rough. He only has one card on board, though. This is arguably, like, best case scenario for us to be in at the moment. I know that he could just bounce Zorojuro if I play that again. That makes me want to play Sanguro. The tough part is I don't have a 2K. So he should be at 6 Dawn the following turn. So this is probably just a 5 then. And then plays a 4 cost, has 2 Dawn left, uses Teach. Maybe this is a 6, so that's why the 2K is kind of invaluable here. Obviously, we're just going to do this. It's just a matter of whether I take the 2K or not. I'm gonna risk it here and play the Sanguro because we do have Linlin in hand. So I think we should probably be fine. Okay, so now we don't have to worry about a 6. So more than likely, this is just going to be a 5K and a 7K. We'll take the 7. The 5 will counter. We're going to give him Onami because Onami typically isn't very good into this matchup because it just gets bounced by Law super easily. But this is like arguably a best case scenario for what we want, like the position we want to be in against Doflamingo. They haven't seen a Jinbei. Well, I maybe spoke a little too soon, but now we're going to see a 5 and the 7. Oh, he's going to use, okay, I thought he was going to use the 7 first. So I'll get out of the 5. And now, being at 5 cards in hand, this will bring me to 6. I'll go to 7. I'll also ramp to 8 cards, but Linlin will bring me back down to 6 cards in hand, and then Sanguro keeps me at 7. So I feel pretty good about this. I'm gonna go draw here. Oof. All right. Now the only thing that's absolutely terrifying to us is Pudding. And so we're trying to get Pudding out of hand right now. It's probably not going to happen. But we swing into the Law. We don't swing into the Weevil because we are just going to ramp. What in the world are we drawing into right now? This is absurd. We're just going to put the Weevil to the bottom so that his life doesn't have counter. This is crazy. We drew 3 non-counter cards in a row. It's a bit unfortunate. Sometimes the sim does do sim things, though. It's just like, hey, don't worry. I'm just going to make this as inconvenient for you as possible. See, this is where, if you're Doffy, a 2K check by swinging 6 at life is really, really annoying. He chooses to swing 7 first, putting out the Teach. Yeah, I mean, we have to thank God. All right, we got a 2K off life. That's what matters. Oh, dude, Pudding would be devastating. I won't lie to you. That's the only reason this matchup just feels terrible, is if they have Pudding. Nice thing is, I've seen a lot of people are just running like 2 or 3 of the card now, though, so it's not like a guarantee to see. Especially with him being at 5 cards in hand. If we can somehow dodge Pudding here, I feel like we're in an okay spot. Which it looks like we did. He hits me with the 2K check. I am going to get out of that. Ooh, 7 to life is tragic. I have to take. I really wanted to counter out of that so that I'm not in Pudding range. Oh, there's all my 2Ks. Okay. That's so rough. That is so rough. Alright, we're just going to swing to life, though. We'll play the other 9 Mom. I'm going to keep the Luffy Taros. I don't have Giant. Pudding is still terrifying here. Oh, no. This could be tragic. This could be tragic. Yeah. I guess the good thing about if we do get hit by Pudding is we haven't seen Giant yet. So odds of us potentially seeing Giant with our 1 Dawn active is actually okay. I'm going to counter out. This leaves us with 6, so odds of getting Pudding are slowly dwindling. I love to see it. He's going to return Jinbei, put that... What are we swinging here? Oh, he might actually just swing super tall. Yeah, that's unfortunate. That is unfortunate. No giant. Oh, of course, giant is last card in hand and the top of deck. As it always is. We swing first to see if we get our other Linlin. We don't. Okay. That's fine. Just unfortunate. So now I have to come to terms with, do I play double blocker here? He did take the 6, which is a bit bizarre. So I'm going to swing 8. Before I dedicate any of my Dawn, I'll swing 9. He took the 6. Am I getting baited? There's no way he has that many 2Ks, right? Only one 2K in trash. Huh. Am I getting baited? Okay, alright. I was about to say. Okay. So we're just gonna swing 5. Yeah, see, this is the tough part. I don't know if I play both of these, do I survive? I don't think I do to a perfume. So I think I just play one blocker only. Yeah, I think I just play one blocker and pass so that I have the double giant. That makes me feel pretty good about surviving to perfume. Tough part is he has Teach on board, so perfume now doesn't make Doflamingo a 15k, it makes it even worse. Oh, and that's the game. That's the game. Pudding just wins the game sometimes. Unfortunate. Well, it might not be if he doesn't have perfume. Because we actually got quite a bit of counter. 9k. You could go 9. Yeah, we're just gonna block this. Because now I think that he'll all in and go 9. So I'll just go 1k. Yep. That's all she wrote. That's all she wrote. Alright. Pudding definitely almost cost us the game there. I won't lie, I mean, it's a bit of a lucky situation on my part, but also a lucky situation on my opponent's part. Just having Pudding for the very end there can be really detrimental, but lucky for us that we were able to get the counter we needed. That's why, like, having those 2Ks is so important in this matchup. It feels like, unless you're able to keep your hand size at around, like, the 6, you know, that's a sweet spot you want to be in, is about 6 cards in hand. They can just hit you with Pudding at any moment, and you're like, oh, I just lose. Okay. Alright, so we got a matchup against RP Luffy here. Definitely want to take first. I actually don't hate seeing Sanji simply because it allows me to get rid of their Bon Clay. So I'm going to keep it. Hopefully we find a... Hey, alright. Zorojiro here. Love that. Yeah, Sanji is just really solid for dealing with their Bon Clay. The only play they have here is Nami, which they end up having. A lot of the times, though, this will tell me whether at the end of the game I need to be worried about, like, Giant or not. And they don't find Giant, but they do find the 9-cost Luffy, which is still kind of annoying. I'm just going to go ahead and play Zorojiro. Yeah, we just take Sangoro. I was thinking of maybe taking Giant there, but I think we're fine. 7k to life is annoying. The nice thing is in this matchup specifically, we don't have to worry about Pudding, thank God. So I'm just going to take the life. I'm going to use this to to get a free swing with my 5k, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to. And he gives me a 2k, so I'm alright with that. Definitely feel like he should have just let that go, but... Oh, interesting. So he still got the ramp out of that anyways, but he's not able to get to 9 just yet. He could have a Bon Clay here, which, again, that's kind of why I was happy with seeing the Sanjis. It just allows me to deal with that. So I don't really care about the Basil Hawkins. This is a bit of a weird card. I feel like a lot of people tend to opt for the event instead, because the event allows you to draw a card and ramp. Good lord. Yeah, I mean... Yeah, you got it. Yep. Yeah, you got it. Alright, so 1 active. RP Luffy's a bit of a weird matchup. I want to go wide here. He's going to be able to play the 9-cost Luffy. Yeah. Yeah, we're just going to swing 6. We're going to swing another 6. And now we kind of like... We have a really good amount of information on what his hand is. I am just going to play out... I'm thinking of maybe playing the Chopper, but I think I go with Sangaro here. I just don't have Kid in hand yet, so that's more or less why I'm not going to play the Chopper. Linlin's fine. This just gets rid of my Sangaro. And now if he swings 6 to life... do I take... Could take, but I think I won't, so that I have leader effect. So I'll just go ahead and 2k. And now I can ramp to 10. Unfortunate. I was trying to find the why am I forgetting the name of it right now? The 9-cost Luffy, in order to really put the pressure on. I know 1 card in his hand is dead. He gives me a 2k for that, so I actually think that I could maybe just get away with a 7. Probably could have just done a 6 again. Alright, that's fine. Well, now I know what the last card in his hand is, for sure. So I am not sweating it. We'll just go ahead and place Sangaro down, leaving 1 active for the Giant, because we knew this was going to be the situation. This does let him ramp a little bit, so we can get a 7, 9, and a 10 in, which is pretty scary. I don't have a 2k. Gosh. It's actually really annoying. It's really annoying. The only thing is I just want to defend Luffy Taro. That's really kind of all I care about. So I will Giant here. Okay, we get a 2k. We get a 2k. So that's fine. Sure, you can have that. No swing with Lin. Okay. I'll just draw a card. Alright, yeah, we've got enough to stay alive now. I'm too tired to play properly. I was about to say... Yeah, I was like, no swing with Lin's weird. I just don't think I get the game if I swing 10. So I think I'm just going to swing 8. Just to see if he has the 1-cost event. Which it looks like he didn't. Now I'm just going to swing 6. Yeah. And I think I can get away with 10. I have a lot of counter too, so I don't think I die here. Oh, he does have Giant. Wow. Okay. No way he doesn't get counter. You have to get a 1k. Okay. I was about to say. But yeah, we have plenty of counter. We're not dying anytime soon. I will give you a 2-2-1. 10, I have to take. Oh, there's my 9-cost Luffy. Of course it was my last life. That's actually kind of funny. If he did, like, kind of luckily draw into the 10-cost Luffy, he could try and go for game here, but he's going to go a bit of a different route. Let's see, 9-9. Yeah, I mean, we just take. We don't die, so it's fine. 9. Just go to 10. GG.